have the pleasure of turning it over to Stephanie, Monica, and Lisa, who are going to present on Travel Training 101. We're really excited to have the three of them here with us and thank the three of them for being with us. And on that note, I'm going to toss it over to the three of you, Stephanie, Monica, and Lisa, to present Travel Training 101.
Great. Thank you so much, Tracy and Robert. Welcome, everybody. I hope everyone's having a wonderful Wednesday. We're so excited to come here and talk to you all about travel training today. My name is Stephanie Rozansky. I am the director of YAI Knowledge, which is the training department here at YAI. For a visual, I am a white woman with shoulder-length brown hair, and I'm wearing a black shirt with a background of kind of white and pinks and greens, hopefully nice calming background. And I have been with YAI for over 20 years, and I've been overseeing the travel training department here since 2011. So we're really excited to kind of share what we know today, and we're going to take you through the steps of our travel training program. We're going to go, Lisa's going to give you some overview of some curriculum that you can use. And then we have a nice presentation by Monica, who's one of our travel training graduates. So before I jump in, Monica, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello, my name is Monica Kears. I'm wearing a pink like jacket or something. Fuchsia jacket. And I'm wearing a necklace. I'm black, of course.
Thank you, Monica.
Good morning. My name is Lisa Cornegay. I'm a travel trainer here at YAI. I'm a black lady. I have a bun up on top. I have some pearls around my neck with a black sweater. And I am excited to present on travel training today.
Great. Thank you, Lisa and Monica. So as I said, I'm going to jump in and just give you a brief overview about our travel training program. So as I said, we began back in 2011, specifically in our day service department. So in day service, we are teaching a lot of those vocational skills, which include social skills, travel skills. And we said, okay, what's the next step, right? If we're talking about employment, future opportunities for people, how can we ensure that people are able to do these things on their own? So we created the travel training program. We were trained by New York City's District 75. District 75 has been providing travel training to students for over 50 years. So we learned everything from them. We created that program, and we are currently now funded by a grant, the Enhanced Mobility of Seniors and Individuals with Disabilities Transportation Grant. And with this grant, we're actually able to provide travel training services to people outside of YAI. So we provide services to people outside of YAI who would like to learn how to travel in the community on their own. We provide a 2-day training for professionals who want to, and family members who want to learn how to do this. And we also provide information sessions like today that talk about the travel training process. So we're going to drop a link in the chat in a bit. So if you want to register for one of those programs, you're able to. Okay, oops, sorry about that. So as I said, we have our one-on-one, and also with that one-on-one, we're going to be looking at some pre-travel curriculum today. So before people are ready to sometimes go out into the community with us, they might need some foundational skills to work on. Things like speaking to a conductor, learning how to use their ID card. So we're going to go through some of that pre-travel curriculum today. And when we talk about travel training services, a lot of times you might hear a term called mobility management. That refers to everything that we do. So we do what most people think of, training on how to travel from a specific origin to a specific destination, usually, let's say, home to a workplace. We might do some route trainings. Sometimes someone might come to us and say, hey, I just moved into a new residence. Can you come support me learn how to travel from this residence to my new home to my job site? And then we also can do training on general orientation to the public transportation system. Things like purchasing a Metro card or Omni card, reading a schedule, and identifying landmarks. So here at YI, travel training is short-term, intensive, and one-to-one. So if you are someone that is interested in being part of our travel training program, please note that we require at least 4 days per week to work with somebody. And on average, training lasts about 15 to 20 sessions, or about 3 to 4 weeks. All right. And it is competency-based. So there's different stages of the training and different things that you have to go through in order to successfully complete the program. So a brief overview about our program: the travel trainer meets the person at their home and travels with them on a fixed route. Before we even start training, the travel trainers will go and do a full environmental analysis. So what that means is they're going to look at the route on their own to ensure that whatever that travel is has the least amount of risk. All right. So we're going to be looking at things like how many transfers are there? What is the surrounding area? Right. And try to find out if it makes sense to travel a different route that might be safer. An alternate route is also taught for when the preferred route is inaccessible. So we always teach 2 routes. So, you know, New York City public transit is actually quite amazing. However, things happen, right? Trains go out of service, buses get rerouted. So we always teach 2 routes in case your original route is inaccessible for some reason. And when we start training, our primary focus in the beginning is on, in the subway, finding the conductor's board, and on the bus, sitting near the front of the bus near the driver. So today, one of the things we wanted to teach about is this conductor's board here. So if you see this long black and white striped board here, this is in every single train station. And if you find this board and stand underneath it, the conductor will pull up and be in front of you every single time. All right. So we have a little video that I'm going to show you on finding the conductor's board. This is something that you can do on your own right now if you want to start to prepare for independent travel. Let me just play the video.
Today, I'm going to walk you through how I would think through finding the conductor's board at a subway station. So as I come onto the platform, I need to look both ways to see which way I think is the middle of the platform. This is important because the conductor's board is always right in the middle of the platform. At many stations like this one, it's hard to tell which way is the middle, so we just need to guess. So I decided to walk this way along the platform. So I'm looking for the conductor's board, which means I'm looking along the ceiling for either the long rectangle sign with the black and white diagonal stripes or the large cameras hanging from the ceiling. This tells me where the conductor is going to pull up to every single time a train arrives in the station. Since I know the conductor will always be right in the middle of the platform, as I get very close to the end of the platform like this and I still haven't seen the signs, that tells me the conductor's board is in the other direction. So I need to turn around and continue looking for the conductor's board signs in this direction. So as I walk along the platform and look for the conductor's board signs, I need you to also pay attention and look for the conductor's board signs as well.
So I'm just going to go ahead a little bit because we're just going to walk up and down that platform looking for that
now I know
conductor's board sign.
I must have passed the conductor's board signs and I need to turn around and try again. This happens a lot when we first practice finding the conductor's board, or if we're at an unfamiliar station. A lot of times we don't know where the conductor's board is, and we might need to walk along the platform 2 or 3 times in order to find the conductor's board, and that's perfectly normal.
Now we're going to see Bridget coming up back to the middle of the platform, and she's going to be able to find that conductor's board. So again, this is something that you can do on your own if you want to prepare for independent travel.
I see the conductor's board sign, the long rectangle sign with the black and white diagonal stripes. So I'm going to wait right here, and I know on the next arriving train, this is exactly where the conductor will pull up. And actually, as I look at the train across the platform, I see the conductor on the opposite train, exactly where I'm waiting.
Okay, so that's just something that you might not have known. I definitely suggest using it. I use it all the time whenever I need some assistance, when I'm lost. That conductor pulls right up and you're able to speak to them. A couple other things that we do in our travel training program is we teach problem solving. So, you know, we go through different things such as, are you able to find your way when lost or facing challenges in the community? So one of the first things we do is practice speaking to a bus driver or conductor for assistance. All right, so everybody receives a YI ID card, and you need to practice showing that to a conductor or bus driver and following directions. We go one stop past on both the bus and the train. You know, things happen. I know for myself, sometimes I'm a little sleepy in the morning. So maybe I might nod off on my way to work and all of a sudden I wake up and I'm one stop past my stop. We're going to practice that. What does that next stop look like? How can you get back? We're going to review alternate entrances and exit at train stations because again, sometimes there's construction and your usual exit might be closed. Practicing, what does that look like when you go up top? Are there landmarks that you can look for? And then we're actually going to get the trainee lost. So we usually encourage someone to prepare for this. We say we're gonna go somewhere today that you've never been before and see if, following our rules, if the person can return to their the place that they were going to, whether it's home or their job site, wherever they were trying to get to that day. If the person's able to do so successfully, they usually successfully complete our program. All right. So that's just a brief overview of the travel training program. A lot of our focus is focused on free travel. So getting somebody ready to have those skills to work in the community. So when we talk about free travel, we talk about things such as using ID card, map skills, Metro or Omni card, and things like spatial awareness. So I'm going to pass it over to Lisa to talk a little bit more about our training program.
Thank you, Stephanie. Good morning again, everyone. Well, good afternoon, right? So just in continuing some of the things that we also review in pre-travel and in travel training in our program, right, is travel safety. Something new that's coming up is the Omni card. So the Omni card has completely changed the way people access the subway and bus system. And if you're not aware, you know, we are going to be faded out with Metro cards this year, and we'll be starting with Omni cards as of January next year. So it is a new system that we all need to learn, but it's great. You know, it's a lot safer when we're traveling. We don't need to go into our wallets like we used to, or find change, or find the Metro card. We're able to just, you can use your own contactless credit, right? Debit or reloadable prepaid cards, as well as digital wallets on your smartphone or smartwatch. You just tap an Omni reader and you go. So it's a lot more convenient and it's a lot more safer. In addition to that, there's some other, and this is what, if anyone has never seen it, this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like in the train station. They do have that similar machine as well on the bus that you can use to tap to pay. Yeah. And in addition to that, you know, there are other things within the train stations that you can look out for to kind of help keep you safe, right? Because those yellow lines right there, we never want to go past those yellow lines. We never want to lean over. And something that kind of helps us not to do that are these countdown clocks. And it'll also keep you safer. Sometimes those countdown clocks are not only on the train platform, but sometimes you'll also find them in front of the token booth clerk, right? Before you even go to your platform. So if you're not so comfortable waiting on that platform, something you can do is wait in front of those countdown clocks. That way you can see when your train is coming, and then you can maneuver to the train platform instead of waiting on that platform. Or if you're okay with waiting on the platform, you can wait on the platform and just wait by that clock, and you'd never have to lean over to say, hey, is my train coming, right? Because you'll always be able to utilize those clocks. And those are some of the safety things that they're putting in the train stations, you know, to help us to be safer. So be mindful of them. You know, Stephanie talked a lot about that black and white board. That's a great safety tool for the community as well, for when you're in the train station. Whenever you're standing there, you can be sure that you're going to board the train where the conductor is, you know, and the benefits in that is you're able to ask for directions if you needed directions, or you're even able to let that person know if you're not feeling safe. and you can get help. And even when you're on the train, you're able to knock on that door in case you needed assistance while on the train to reach the conductor. So that black and white board, super helpful, and these countdown clocks as well, in addition to that new Omni system, which I'm excited about and which is we're going to be learning more about as well. And then in continuing with subway safety, like we talked about, right, we always want to stand behind the yellow tactile warning strip and against the wall if possible, right, and position yourself, like we said, near a countdown clock so that you can check the train status without ever leaning over. There goes that conductor's board again, right? We want to locate the conductor's board and we want to enter the train card there. And just because that just encourages and helps us with our subway safety, right? We always have someone there, a person that can assist us if we need it. The conductor will be there for extra support with directions, extra assistance, or like we mentioned, even in a state of emergency, right? If you don't feel comfortable, you can go to that conductor and let them know you don't feel well, you don't feel comfortable, or you simply need directions, but they're there for extra support and assistance. And continuing with our subway safety, thefts from sleeping passengers make up 25% of all major subway crime. Right, so we always want to remain alert and stay awake on the subways to reduce the opportunity for criminals. You know, sometimes you feel a little tired on the train. Sometimes you might feel sleepy, but it's really, really important that you force yourself to stay awake. And some of the ways that I do that, and we encourage to do that within the travel training program, is standing up and holding on to the pole, right? So if you're feeling yourself getting a little tired, don't make yourself more comfortable because then you're just going to be doomed, right? So we just kind of want to, you know, encourage ourselves to stay awake, to stand up and stay alert at all times on the train, just because thefts from sleeping passengers make up 25%, right? So we don't want to leave that opportunity for someone to take advantage of us. Another great safety tip that we want to review, don't pull the emergency brake, right? We've all seen that emergency brake on the train, but we want to make sure that the emergency brake is only pulled when the motion of the subway presents imminent danger to life or limb, right? So that pretty much means if someone is outside of that train and we need to stop the train. And that's something that we don't want to do, because if we are on the train and something is happening and we pull that emergency brake, we're stopping the train from pulling into the next station. It's now going to be stuck within the two stations, and it's going to be difficult to get help from an EMT worker or a police officer. It'll be difficult to get assistance. So it's better to not pull that emergency brake and let the train go into the station. And then continuing talking about some of the helpful things that are out there in the train stations. One of the newer systems too that have recently developed, and they're pretty much in most of the train stations now, it's the Help Point communication system. So if you've ever seen it, you know, if you ever needed help, the green information button allows riders to speak to a transit agent regarding service information. And I've used it before. It is very helpful. You just press that button and it's going to direct you to a token booth clerk, right? And the great thing about that is she's able, through you know the mechanisms of the Help Point, she's able to know directly where you are in that train station so that she can offer you help, right? So one of the questions that I needed to know was, where do we get the elevator that is wheelchair accessible? And she was able to help me. She was able to know exactly where I was and gave me specific directions to get that information. So it was awesome. Another mechanism of the Help Point system is the red emergency button. And that allows riders to access to emergency support in urgent situations. So that's good to know as well if you were ever on the platform and say, like we mentioned before, you didn't feel well. Or maybe there's something going on that you're not comfortable with. Maybe there's an argument going on and maybe you want to just notify, you know, the police or so. You can press that button and let them know someone needs help, there's a situation going on, or you can simply say, I need help, right? I don't feel well. And they'll be able to direct you and get the help that you need. Another thing in the train stations are these interactive subway maps, right? So you can use this map to access information regarding directions, routes, and even real-time service alerts, right? I love to use those. I probably use it all the time when I enter the train station just because it lets me know when the next train is coming. And even if there are multiple trains at that station, it'll let you know the time that the other trains are coming as well. It's very, very helpful and useful. Continuing to have a safe travel, right, and preparing for our safety, you want to ensure that your cell phone is fully charged before leaving home. Of course, you want to look at the train and the bus times early and adjust your schedule if needed. Kind of know yourself, right? If you're a person that does not like traveling on crowded trains or crowded buses, you might want to adjust your schedule to leave a little bit earlier than you need to, just so that you avoid that crowded train if your train is crowded around your designated time, right? And that kind of helps with your emotional state. That kind of keeps you calmer on your travel and helps to encourage your safety. And you want to ensure you're in good emotional state, right? If you need to take a moment to clear your mind, this will improve your sense of awareness. So really knowing yourself in the morning, if you're really having a bad morning, you're not feeling too well, right? You might want to decide to stay home from traveling that day because you might not be as aware as you need to be. You might not be as positive as you need to be when you're traveling, and you might have a difficult, unsafe travel. So it's really important also to make sure that you're in a good emotional state before you leave the house. Okay, great. And so Stephanie talked before, that was our pre-travel, right? That's what we focused on while we're traveling. Those are some of those tips and those skills to kind of keep you safer while you're traveling in the community, utilizing those new systems that are put out there. And then in addition to that, when we're working with someone, sometimes we also do some pre-travel on screen where we discuss different topics. We discuss traveling with strangers. How do you travel with strangers safely? Sometimes strangers might approach you and ask you for different information. How do we respond to that? Is something that we want to discuss, and we discussed in those trainings. Another thing, or navigating foot traffic, right? Especially when you're traveling in Manhattan, it could be really busy. One of the things that we focus on in that curriculum review is staying to the right. So if you didn't know, while you're walking in New York City on these crowded streets or anywhere, the unspoken rule is to stay to the right. Right. So if you're going up and down the stairs, you want to stay to the right of the staircase. If you're walking down the sidewalk, you want to stay to your right, regardless of which side you're walking on, because if those people stay on their right and we stay on our right, then we won't bump into each other. Right. And that just kind of helps to encourage a safer way of walking. And that was our curriculum of navigating foot traffic. We also have curriculum that focuses on street crossing, how to safely cross the street. Some of these streets are really large. Some of them have those countdown clocks that could be really confusing. How do we navigate safely through that? And that's something else that we review. So today, one of the curriculums that we are going to review are coping skills in the community, right? And so let's dive in. And we want to start off with, have you ever been frustrated or angry while traveling, right? And looking at these pictures, you can see two angry moments: when that door closes right in front of your face when you're trying to get that train, or when it's super crowded, right? And you clearly, we can't board that train. So those are some things that frustrate people. Other things might be more frustrating as well. And it's just about knowing yourself. And knowing what makes you angry, right? And leaving ahead of time so that when you do miss that train, unfortunately, you're not so upset because you've got some extra time to spare, right? Or if you see that train that's so crowded like that, you're able to wait for the next one because you have that extra time to spare. So it's just preparing. All right. And then a discussion. Is it okay to feel angry or frustrated, right? And the answer is yes. Yes, it is. We unfortunately can't help what makes us upset. We can't help what frustrates us, right? But let's have a discussion, because what we can help is what we do in that frustration, right? How we handle that, how we control ourselves when we are angry and frustrated, and also what it is, knowing those things that do make you angry and frustrated so we could avoid it. So we can discuss what are safe ways of coping with anger or frustration while traveling, right? And that's those, we can name quite a few, breathing in, taking some deep breaths. It shows medically to help calm us down. Also walking away if possible, depending on the situation that's frustrating you. Maybe it is someone that's really speaking loud on that train, and maybe we need to exit the train and get off the train and wait for the next one, right? Or maybe we need to move our seat away from someone if we feel like they're sitting too close to us or making us uncomfortable. So it's just thinking of all those coping mechanisms. Sometimes I know for me, sometimes if it's really, really crowded, or there's a lot of delays, having a sip of water sometimes helps me. So knowing that, I kind of carry a bottle of water with me so that if anything happens, I know I have that sip of water. Maybe sometimes squeezing a stress ball. Some people enjoy to do that as well. Some people might enjoy pulling out a quick magazine just to read an article to take your mind off of what's going on to help cope with whatever that frustration is that you're dealing with in the community. So it's, again, preparing yourself ahead of time, right? Knowing what works for you and just planning ahead just in case those things happen so that you're able to cope with them effectively. Right? Recognizing when you're angry or frustrated is important. So recognizing those things that do bother you and trying to work around it. And what helps you to feel better when you're feeling angry, right? What helps you to blow that steam out? Again, for me, sometimes it's a bottle of water just to take a sip of, right? So just knowing yourself and having that with you so that you can feel, you can control that anger and start to feel better soon. Another thing I do sometimes, I'm just like, okay, I'll get through this moment. I'm sipping my water, and then I plan to vent when I get to my program, right? I'm either venting to another peer or another staff, someone that I can talk to about it. So sometimes that's my plan to just, I can't wait till I get to program so that I can talk to someone about it. So just having a plan for when you feel angry, what are you gonna do? And then what helps you feel better when you're frustrated, okay? Sometimes taking your mind off of what it is that's going on at the time. We can't change that train is not gonna come for another 7 minutes, but what can I do in the meantime to kind of help me deal with this frustrating moment? Right, and then we go back and practice it as a group who I'm working with or the person that I'm reviewing it with. We'll go back and we'll practice. And so that's something that you can do and something that you can talk about. Think about the things that frustrate you and that make you angry when you're in the community and what would make you feel better, and then practice it with someone to make sure that it really works, right? And it'll be effective so that if you are in those moments of frustration or anger while you're traveling in the community, you are able to cope with them and still make it to your destination safely. Okay, so now we are going to go to the section where we're going to meet Monica. Okay. So Monica, she's actually a travel training graduate. She's gone through our travel training program with us quite a few years ago, and so she is here to share with us her experience on travel training. So I'd start off first. I'm just going to ask you a question, Monica. So what do you like the most about traveling on your own?
Yeah, I'm able to travel different places on my own. I don't have to wait for staff.
Good. And where are some of the places? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Could you say that one more time, Monica? Sorry, it was just a little hard to
I'm
hear.
sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'm able to travel different places on my own. I don't have to wait for staff. Okay.
You don't have to. Okay, great. Thank you.
And where are some of the places that you travel to?
I travel to church. I take the B41 bus to Park Place and then walk to my church.
Nice.
Program.
Anything else you want to add about what you like most about traveling on your own?
Yeah, I like being by myself instead of a group. Sure.
So now we'll go on to the next question. What did you like about the travel training program?
Yeah, I loved learning about travel safety and traveling rules.
What are some travel rules that you specifically like, Monica?
You'll have to look both ways for the cars and look at driveways and beware of your surroundings.
Good. Why is it so important to be aware of your surroundings?
So so that people don't steal from you and things. You have to look up, don't look down at the cars and buses and bicycles and all that stuff.
Excellent. Yeah, those bicycles, that's a big thing now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know I think when you started training, the bikes were just starting to get a little bit
Right.
crowded, but now there's so
Yeah.
many bikes, right? You really need to be
Right.
looking for bikes at all times. That's another
do.
thing, a skill that people don't think about. Great.
That's right. Yeah. Mhm.
We can continue with another question. What advice, Monica, would you give to someone who wants to learn how to travel on their own?
Okay, don't flash your jewelry. Do not take out your cell phone. And and um and don't take out your money on the subway or bus. People could steal.
Great. Monica, can I ask you a question about that cell phone?
Yeah,
When you're traveling, where do you usually keep your cell phone?
I keep it in my pocket. In my
Good.
pocket.
Okay, good. That's another thing that people don't always think about, right? When
Right.
when your cell phone rings, if you're traveling the community, all of a sudden your focus goes on that phone,
You
right?
can't
So
do
we
that.
want to, yep. So you want to keep it away. You can use your cell phone when you get to your destination, right?
Yes.
But
Uh-huh.
otherwise, you're keeping it in your pocket.
I
Excellent.
do it.
Great.
I do that. Uh-huh.
Excellent.
Good. Yeah, I could share.
Yeah.
When you hear a siren, stand back and wait for till the siren passes. If you're on the streets, the siren. Mm-hmm.
That's a great point, right? Those emergency vehicles, when we hear them, we do need to stand back.
Yes, that's what I learned in the travel training book. Thank you.
And so we're going to continue. This is some contact information. So again, we reviewed, that was Monica, and she just gave a little bit of information on what she's learned and the benefits that she has received from learning how to travel independently, right? When she joined. Monica, thank you for sharing those good tips that we should remember. And if anyone has any questions, you can feel free to contact us. This is our contact information. For the website, we have trainings where we review more in depth on some of the.
Hey, Lisa,
Yes.
I'm having a little bit of a hard time hearing you. I don't know if you can go right in front of the speaker.
Okay. Yes.
There you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this is our website. We have trainings on here. And also if you want to sign up for our parent information session, where we give more information on the services that we provide. And you can also contact us through our email here at traveltraining@ywI.org. And now we will open it up for any questions.
And just one other thing we're going to actually add into the chat there. We have a link to something called Magnus Cards. That is just an amazing resource for anybody really that has a cell phone. It's an app that you can download, and there's different sections on it: entertainment, money, but there's one specific section that talks about traveling. And it's amazing. It goes through different steps of traveling on New York City subways. So if you download that, it's free. I highly suggest you use it. And yeah, I think Tracy's gonna, yep, thank you, Tracy. Just dropped it in the chat. So any questions on anything that we went through?
And just as a reminder, if anybody wants to submit a question, on the bottom of your Zoom screen, there's that, it says Q&A. So if you just click on that Q&A, you will be able to submit a question. And so we have a question coming in for Monica.
Yeah.
So Monica, the question for you is, were you nervous about learning to travel independently?
Yes, I was very nervous. When I started beginning, I was very nervous. I was very nervous.
How'd you deal with feeling nervous?
I try to calm down, take deep breaths, talk to God about it, I counted to 10, all that stuff.
Monica, I'm curious, what exactly were you nervous about? Because I think that there's a lot of people that are nervous. So I think it'd be helpful for them to hear the things that you were nervous about and how you dealt with them.
About how to put money on my Metro card. Next year, I'll be nervous about using the Omni card. Next year, I'll be nervous about that too.
Okay,
About our
great.
Omni card, Omni.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are kind of nervous about the Omni card.
Mhm.
Just so everybody knows, we just one of our travel trainers, Matthew Rella, he's our Queen's travel trainer. He just created some curriculum around using an Omni card and how to add money to your half fare card. So Monica, if you want some more information, let
I
us
do.
know. And anybody that
I
wants
do.
more information,
I do.
we would be happy to share that because it is a little, it's scary. It's
It's
different,
scary. It's
right?
scary. Yeah, because I now have to tap next year, tap and go instead of swipe and go, just like
Yeah.
John Chapman does.
Oh, does he? So he taps?
He taps instead of swipes.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Monica. So there's another question that came in. How do you know where to go when you get off the platform of the train? Like, how do you understand the signs?
You have to look at the sign. You have to look carefully. Look up.
Great. Actually, yeah, you always want to look up, right? A lot of people
Look up. No, don't
unfortunately
look down. I know.
Yep, look down and then they miss those signs.
Yeah,
Those
then you
signs,
miss it if you look down.
yes. Is there anybody else, Monica, that you can go to for help as well?
I could go to an MTA worker. Uh,
Great.
or the police. I see police often on the train. I could go to him or her. Or the token booth clerk. If I don't see my group on the platform, go to the token booth clerk, him or her, if there is.
Great. Thank you, Monica.
And something else we can add, something else that Monica also used at the very, very start of training that we always issue is an ID card, right? And on that ID card, it's very explanatory. It has your route on there. And so it would have the train stop that you will be exiting so that if it's a little bit difficult, you can use that as a resource to kind of match it up to find your stop until you get comfortable with it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if I may just ask a follow-up question based on this last question that came in, just in case folks that joined us late, I think you covered a little bit of this, but the question was, how do you know where to go when you get off the platform of the train? As part of the travel training program, are you only practicing in the station near maybe your house or your program or where you work? Are you kind of learning that station so where to get off on that at that particular stop, or do you also practice at other stations throughout the city?
So I guess I can answer that question. So we practice at the local stations where the designated stops, but we explore all exit out of that station. So Stephanie talked about our problem solving stage. So within that problem solving stage, we also want to explore all exits out of the train station that you will be using. So it would be near your home and near your designated stop where you're traveling, just because if anyone has ever experienced a New York train station with multiple exits, sometimes you can get out of a different exit and be completely lost and not familiar with. So yes, we do. When the person gets off the train, we'll tend to go to that exit closest to our, the destination that we're going to, but we do also explore all entrances and exits out of that train station just to be sure.
Got it. Thank you. And during the training, the other part was, how do you understand the signs? Are you like looking at certain signs for the person who's being trained to identify?
But yeah, we want them to identify the stops that are, near their home, the signs, the street signs. We also offer curriculum. So within that pre-travel piece too, if we're noticing that a person is not familiar yet with identifying street signs, we have a bus and subway signage curriculum that we review on screen, and we teach you, and it goes in depth exactly what all of these signs mean within the train station, how to identify what route you need, rather it's going uptown and downtown. So we want to review that. We review that signage. We also review the bus signage, and show you the different parts of the bus that tells the sign that tell you which direction you're going, how important that route number is on the bus. So yes, we review it in depth. If someone is not familiar with it yet, we offer those pre-travel skills to review those things before they go out into in-person training in the community. And then again, in in-person training, you can always pull in some resources, have a little cue cards with you on a ring that kind of have your stops or some of the street signs within the neighborhood until the person gets familiar with identifying those things independently.
And I'll just add, it's so amazing with YouTube right now. There are so many videos online where you can actually explore the subway station that you're going to be using that day without even going to it, right? So a lot of times just using those videos first and looking at the train station, where the stairs you're going to have to walk down, the signs that are there, the the artwork that's in some, using those videos first really can help with those nerves, right? Monica mentioned being nervous. We're all nervous. I know I'm nervous every time I go to a new location, right? I get nervous and I try to prep myself as much as I can. So making sure we're using these amazing resources that are out there, that's going to help with every step of this process.
And the Magnus cards too also offers a really, really great section, like Stephanie mentioned before, that kind of gives you a great intro into the train station and kind of learning how to read those signs and follow those directions.
Yeah, those Magnus cards sound really cool. Hopefully, we popped that into the chat, so hopefully folks check out that website. I got some more questions coming in. So the next one is, how do you deal with complex emotions when traveling, when everything that you've planned for doesn't come to fruition, especially when things are out of your control?
Monica, do you want to answer that one? What do you want to take that? What would you do?
If everyone thing I planned for is under my is not in my control.
Yeah. Do you ever have one of those days where it just seems like everything goes wrong on your way to program? Maybe you miss the train, it's crowded, you're just having a bad day. Is there something you do to cope with that?
We'll just count to 10. Take deep breaths, like I mentioned before, and stay calm. Don't get nervous. Maybe talk to an MTA worker who works for the MTA.
Great. I think that's great, Monica. That's amazing. Yeah, I would say the same exact things, right? And just remind yourself that this is life, right? It will get better. We all have bad days. I think that sometimes we just have to tell ourselves, to take a moment. I also love what Lisa said. Sometimes maybe if we're having a string of bad days, might be the time to stay home one day, right? And take a little me day, and maybe not travel that day, right? Because that can happen as well. So knowing yourself and checking in with yourself before you leave home to travel is really important.
Got it. So our next question is, how do you ensure safety and that personal information, such as ID information, would be used for the purpose of helping and not endangering an autistic traveler? And the person is actually saying like stalking, like if stalking became an issue.
That's a great question. IDs are an amazing resource. However, they should not be, I know a lot of people have them on lanyards and have them facing outwards. We don't suggest that, right? There's wallets that you can keep your ID in, keep it in your pocket, right? You don't really want your information out there. So making sure that you have an ID card, you know where to put it, you know where to place it, really important, really important. Yep. Lisa, did you want to add anything to that?
I agree.
Great. So next question is, how can school counselors help with independent traveling?
I would suggest if you want to learn more about independent travel, I am going to plug our 2-day travel training session because we truly go through all the stages of training. And right now, one of the biggest issues around independent travel is that truly YAI and about one other agency are the only ones that provide travel training. District 75 works with students, but otherwise, once people age out, there's just not a lot of support. So if you're a counselor, please join our 2-day session. We go through all the skills needed to create your own program. Lisa and I, we're passionate about this. It's so important. So anything we can do to support and expand this program, we want to be part of. So, please reach out to us, take our contact information, and we'd love to even work with you. I know we're doing a information session for some teachers next month. So if you wanted to set something up like that at your school, we would also be more than happy to do so.
And I just posted again in the chat, I know someone asked, what did I miss? So we went through the presentation, but we are recording today's webinar. So we'll make sure to post that recording. So anybody that tuned in late will be able to see this presentation in its entirety. And we will also share a PDF of these really amazing slides. So next question coming in is, how do you get an ID card and what does it say?
So on the ID card, it's something that we issue. We use just a regular, a template that we created. And on the ID card, it's really important that we like to put the route on there. It says on top, I wish we could share the screen to show you, but we'll also provide just a look of that and how that looks. You want it to say on top, please speak solely and help me find my way. And then we like to really specifically put that route on there. You want to use color coded if you can, just because again, that's going to be used as a resource a lot for when traveling. If problem solving, you might have to show that to a conductor or a bus driver. So you want it to be, as eligible as possible, plus able for the person to be able to use it and match that up in the train station if they are having difficulties reading that train number, or in the community, maybe reading that bus number. So it's really used as a great resource. So you have the person's name. It's a trifold document that we try to create. So on one side, it is the name of the person and the destination that they'll be traveling to. On that second part, it is the route there. And then on that third part, it's the route home. So a very detailed document. It's trifolded where you can open it up and show all of that information. And also the contact number, right, in case of emergency, so that if that person does need assistance, a number is on that ID card where someone could be reached to get them that assistance.
Okay, got it. Thank you. And on your website that I posted in the chat on the yi.org/travel training, I know you have a little want to know more section, so we could contact you at that number. And then there's a specific email, traveltraining@yi.org. So if we emailed you or called you, you would let us know how to set up that training if we wanted to, if we were from, staff from a IDD agency, or we could do that travel training information session. Is that right? Yeah, cool. All right. So next question is, I'm a teacher and some parents are hesitant or resistant to allow their child to participate. What can help parents become more comfortable?
Well, something that really, really helps for us, our program is pass or fail. And so in going through our in-person program, one of the final stages, the person is trailed by a staff. And so once they are observed traveling 2 consecutive days, following all those travel rules and getting to their destination safely, then we sign off and say that that person is capable to travel that particular route. So I think that really helps parents in knowing that, that final process, that final piece, the person will be observed and we'll be observing for all those skills.
Okay, great. So just wanted to toss it out there to the audience. If there's anybody else that has any additional questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A section at the bottom of the screen. Those were some really great questions, I thought.
Tracy, I can pull up quickly if you want to see that sample ID card.
Yeah.
So this is, as Lisa said, it's just an Avery card template that we use. That's a trifold. So we just have the address right on the one side, home to destination. If the person wants it to say, please help me find my way. Whoops, sorry about that. You don't need to, but, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know why that just did that. Sorry about that. There it is. Okay. And then, Lisa was saying it's really important to have it visual. A lot of times you're showing this to a conductor who has about 5 seconds to help you get to where you're going. So making sure we go right to the MTA website, copy and paste those pictures, right? The red 2-3 train, green 6-4-5-6, right? Put that right on that ID card, because you're truly, you have 2 seconds to say, am I going the right way? Point to it. And they're going to tell you yes or no and give you directions back. So I think that's really important to have at all times. And then, it's a trifold. So we have a wallet, people keep it in their wallet. And as part of our program, those are the first week you're practicing using that every single day. We want people to become really comfortable with just being able to ask anybody for, not anybody, to ask a conductor, a bus driver for those directions, because that happens to all of us, right? We all get lost. And it's okay to ask for help. You just need to know how to do so and who to ask.
Great, thank you. Next question is, how long is the wait list?
Right now, we have quite a long wait list. That's a great question. So if you want to refer somebody, or you would like to be a self-referral for our program, the first step is to attend an information session. At the information session, you will receive the paperwork that you need. And right now we're looking at about a 4 to 6 month wait list. We do have quite a lot of people waiting. But that being said, once you send in your paperwork, we will set up time to do an assessment one-on-one with the person. And after that assessment, we give some skills that the person can work on. So even if you're waiting 6 months, we might say, okay, based on that assessment, it looks like you need to learn how to use that ID card. Why don't you practice that right now? That way, when it is your time, right, we don't even have to work on that. And we can do some pre-travel curriculum around that as well.
Oh, that's great. Like a little pre-training.
Yes.
Pre-assessment,
Yeah,
pre-training.
exactly.
Cool. So next question is, is there a process for independent traveling via a ship or a plane? So thinking about navigating like a port or an airport, or navigating in the plane or on a ship.
We do not have that at this moment. As I mentioned, we're grant funded right now from the New York State Department of Transportation. So right now we are only funded to train on New York City public transit. So we actually don't train on the Long Island Railroad right now, because that actually doesn't fall under that in the grant either. So unfortunately we do not, although we have been asked that before. So down the line, maybe it is something that we look into. We've also been asked about Uber and Lyft as well. Training, that is something that, once, if we, get some funding outside the grant, we might look into that as well, because we know that's a big thing. And that's also has a lot of different steps, right? Knowing to be able to know, what your car looks like, what to do if you get dropped off at the wrong location. So there are a lot of steps to teach. So that's definitely something that we want to dive into down the road.
Thank you. And I will just add 2 things. We put in the chat to contact YI Link for information about YI services. There are travel programs through YI outside of the travel training program. So recreation programs. There's something called leisure tracks, where staff from YI take people traveling and support them. So that might be something just for the person that asked that question to consider. It's not necessarily training, but it's an experience. And I think maybe through that experience. And then there is something, it's called Wings for Autism. The ARC oversaw it. I'm going to pop that into the chat too. It's kind of somewhat of what you're describing, but it's for, supporting autistic folks with airline travel. So I wanted to share that. And then the next question is, how far in advance should a family or an individual start to prepare for a major trip, like a vacation, flying, train, or using the bus, when they have little to no travel experience?
I mean, I would say as soon as possible, right? Start right away. As far as our travel training program, we work with people 14 and up as far as in the community training. However, we work with parents all the time who have people who are younger, just talking about those skills that you can work on right away, right? Identifying people who you can ask for help, looking for those signs. I say if you have a big trip coming up, maybe, using YouTube, again, explore that, whatever that route is or whatever that place is that you're going to before you even get there, right? The more you prepare, the less stressful you will feel, usually in the moment. So preparation is everything.
And I'd add, just starting to have that person take the lead when you go out, whenever you go out, wherever you go. So often the people that we're supporting are used to just following, but if you put them in that leading position, having to, make those decisions at decision points and, realize if we need to go left or right and making that decision of when it's safe to cross the street, to kind of get used to that decision making and independent thinking for, future independent travel.
But we really appreciate you joining, and Stephanie and Monica and Lisa, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. I think just given the questions that came in, obviously this is a really relevant topic for the community. We really appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us today and your expertise. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Monica. I didn't quite. Oh, I think I got one more question. I mean, we just have a thank you for everything. So I think, Monica, that was meant for you. Thank you. And thank all of you. And hopefully we'll see you at another self-advocacy series workshop soon. The next one is tomorrow at 12. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. See you later.